Hey, what is going on, guys? It's DK. Back at you with another video here to bring the 11-game NBA main slate on Wednesday. Before I get into the video, if you guys are new to the channel, my name's DK. I make daily videos and live stream for NBA and NFL slates on Draftkings, and now producing content for NBA Top Shot as well. If you're unable to watch his YouTube videos, they're also up on Apple Podcasts. We'll link down below. It's called the DKDFS Show. If you're interested in signing up for premium content, I offer that on Patreon.com, an esports package which includes Call of Duty and CSGO, as well as an NBA package. Now, what's included in the NBA package? You get player pool, cash GPP plays, if-then statements regarding injuries. So, like, if this player's out, then this, plus core plays. And you get a private roster construction video for each main and showdown slate, and you get the private live stream before lock, where I will talk, or I'll tell you exactly where I'm going, talk really, game theory, and answer any questions you guys have. And then finally, I want to thank Prize Picks for sponsoring this show. If this is your first time watching these videos or you're not familiar with Prize Picks, the idea is you're taking over/under on fantasy points. So they have 8 players already posted for tomorrow. They will have a lot more throughout the day. So Giannis is projected for 57 fantasy points. I mean, as long as that game stays close, I kind of like the over there. And I do think Giannis does play. They have second half contests. They also have fourth quarter contests. There actually is an edge there, right? They have fourth quarter stuff up, and this game is looking like a blowout. You can just take unders. So, and they also have esports. They have everything. They have college basketball if you're into March Madness. If you guys want to sign up, use the code DKDFS. DKDFS, all one word, link down below. You'll get a 100% match up to $100. So you put $100 in, you get $200 to play with. And with that out of the way, let's jump in the video. So before I talk about players and the prices for this 11-game slate, let's look back lineup here from Tuesday. So Tuesday's semifinal lineup here: NAW, Bruce Brown, Kyle Kuzma, Zion Williamson, Nick Claxton, James Harden, Brandon Ingram, and Tyler Johnson. So went a little bit contrarian, used Zion instead of Julius Randle. And I want to tilt a little bit here. Okay, first let's talk about Julius Randle. Now, I talked about this in the Patreon live stream, but I was like, he is the one I'm the most scared to fade. 25-point game in the fourth quarter. 6.5 minutes left. Julius Randle checks back into the game. Literally on the Washington side, they have the end of the bench guys out there. Isaac Bonga, Cassius Winston, and Thibodeau brings Randle back in. I was looking at that and just like, are you serious? Are you actually serious, Tom Thibodeau? So, Randle plays his normal minutes. Zion Williamson, he uses the pivot, basically matched him. Now, what I'm really tilted about is Zion Williamson played 29 minutes. 29 minutes at 7% ownership. That game also blew out Lakers-Pelicans. Imagine if Zion played his normal 35 to 36 minutes. He goes for 60-plus easily. So, it could have been a much bigger day there for Zion. So, that's why I'm a little bit tilted. But yeah, used NAW, thought he was a clear play once Lonzo got ruled out, to pair with Brandon Ingram and Zion, and used Kuzma as the bring back. Kuzma went for 41 at 18% ownership. Again, lost like 4 minutes there at the end. And then I basically just used Harden plus Nets value. So I used Harden, Bruce Brown, Claxton, and Tyler Johnson just so I could get, that just fit my build. So, looking pretty good right now. We'll see how it finishes up, but hope you guys had a good night, and let's see if we can make some money here for this 11-game slate. We got a lot to talk about, so let's start off with the games we have right now in Bovada, and we have 5 games: Nuggets, Raptors at 224 over under, Nuggets 1-point favorites, Hornets, Rockets 225 over under, the Hornets 3.5-point favorites, Cavs and Bulls at 219 over under, Bulls 6-point favorites, Mavs, T-Wolves 229.5 over under. The Mavs are 8-point favorites, and the Clippers, Spurs, 220.5 over under. The Spurs are 6-point favorites. Let's start off with Detroit and the Pacers, and I'll make this really, really simple. On the Detroit side, I have very little interest in anyone. Jeremy Grant becoming very scoring dependent. DeLon Wright, Mason Plumlee, losing minutes. Sadiq Bey, priced about right. Josh Jackson, priced about right. Isaiah Stewart has been the guy I've been looking to for value, but now he's at 4.7. Again, kind of just a secondary play. Still think he's viable, but not my favorite. Dennis Smith Jr., Frank Jackson, I still think we have to go there. Like, Frank Jackson probably plays around 25 to 30 minutes. I guess he's viable because he's priced below 4K, but it's not something I love. Moving on to the Indiana Pacers. So really what we got to keep an eye on is Brogdon and Turner. If they're both out, the main three guys look really good here. Sabonis, LeVert, McConnell all look pretty solid. Now, I got to talk about how TJ McConnell did not start the last game. They started Edmund Sumner for some reason. I'm not sure why. Maybe they just want to bring McConnell off the bench. I don't really have interest in Sumner if he starts because I don't think he plays big minutes. Again, McConnell will really be the guy that plays a majority of the point guard. But yeah, Sabonis and LeVert become two of the better plays. It's like great matchup. Plus, again, if there's no Brogdon and Turner, missing two of their high usage guys. So really like both of them. Then again, McConnell, even if he comes to the bench, and still have some interest there. The rest of value plays, not much I would like. If Brogdon and Miles Turner are in, then I don't know if there's one priority for me. I think like the main three guys would all look decent in Sabonis, Brogdon, and LeVert, but no priorities for me if everyone is healthy. Let's move on to Denver and Toronto. So Jokic had the big game tonight. It was looking like a blowout, and then the Magic ended up bringing it back. I don't know what he finished with. I think it was high 60s, maybe even the 70 fantasy point range. Again, he's got that type of upside, triple-double upside. Great matchup here. Like no one on Toronto can stick with him. So I like Jokic a lot at the top. Murray, MPJ, and Will Barton are all in play because they are all playing massive minutes right now. In close games, these guys are all playing like 35-plus minutes. So Murray for tournaments, MPJ for tournaments. I think you can use Barton and Cash. He's doing a better job of stuff in the stat sheet. But all three of those guys I think are viable at their respective prices. And then, Millsap because of the price point, but he's not playing huge minutes at 4K. Moving on to Toronto, not much here. I think Lowry, Van Fleet, Siakam are all like secondary options. One of those guys will probably have a good game, but an 11-game slate, I don't know if I want to risk going to one of these guys, right? All three have kind of been a little bit up and down. I think there's safer options in the slate, so I'm probably just going to avoid the Toronto situation. Boston and Milwaukee. Honestly, not much in Boston. Fully healthy now, besides Tristan Thompson, but Tice is priced up. Rob Williams is too pricey. Smart, Kemba, Brown, Tatum. It's just, one of those guys will have a good game, but kind of like Toronto. I don't know if I want to go there. On the Milwaukee side, keep an eye on Giannis. I think he will play because he practiced today. If he misses, then it's the same situation, right? It's Drew, it's Middleton, it's Portis, it's DiVincenzo, it's Connaughton. If Giannis plays, I don't want anyone besides Giannis himself. As long as there's no minutes limit for Giannis, he plays 35-plus minutes. I actually think he's a pretty good spend-up. All right, moving on to Charlotte and Houston. So on the Charlotte side, again, LaMelo Ball out at least 4 weeks. Gordon Hayward at 7-9. Him and Rozier kind of be the number one and number two in offense. Hayward run for 46 fantasy points. I think he's in play. Good matchup. PJ Washington played 42 minutes last game. 7-3, though, just seems a little bit too pricey for me. I don't think he plays 42 minutes again. Terry Rozier has been playing really well. He had a big game, 44 fantasy points. I'm perfectly fine going there in tournaments. I mean, I guess he's fringe cash game viable because of the minutes. Devontae Graham at 5'3", started at point guard, played 29 minutes. I think he's a fair play, but not a priority. Again, liked him better when he was under 5K. And then keep an eye on Cody Zeller. If he's out, you can punt with Biyombo, who probably plays around low to mid-20s minutes, but again, not a great point per minute guy. And then, Malik Monk's at 4'3". He played 27 minutes. Again, fair value, but not a priority for me with no LaMelo Ball. On the Houston side, the top three guys. So let's talk about this, right? John Wall, back-to-back games of minutes restrictions. Back-to-back games of playing 35-plus minutes. So if he is not on a minutes limit tonight, that means he's playing 48 minutes, right? That makes sense. But no, let's start with Christian Wood. So Christian Wood played 36 minutes 2 games ago, then only 28. Don't be concerned, though. He got in foul trouble. That's why he lost minutes. I think he plays 35 minutes in this game, and I love the matchup. I do like Wood a good amount there for tournaments. The one risk is maybe they do limit his minutes, but again, foul trouble, and the previous game played 36. So I'm thinking we get mid-30s minutes for Christian Wood. With Oladipo back, Wall is no longer a priority, but I still think he's a guy that does look good if he's going to play 35 minutes. Again, up-tempo game. He went for triple-double last game. I don't mind Oladipo either at 7-7. So really the main three guys for Houston all look pretty solid in a good matchup. Everyone else, though, as far as value, I don't think I'm going to get to anyone. Moving on to Phoenix and Orlando. So mentioned DeAndre Ayton. And I know I got a couple of you guys on him tonight just because of the price point. He had a big game. He had a double-double, 3 blocks. It's just the 5.8K price does seem a little bit too cheap. As long as he stays out of foul trouble, he should play about 30 minutes. I think, once again, Ayton's a pretty good play at his price. Now, with Chris Paul versus Booker, I think Chris Paul's a little bit safer. Neither are priorities for me on the slate, but Paul, again, does more of the peripheral stats. I think he's a bit safer. Value-wise, not much here. I'm not going to Bridges or Crowder. No one else really looks good. On the Orlando side, Vucevic, Aaron Gordon at the top are both contrarian options for me. Again, GPP only plays for Vooch and Aaron Gordon. I think they're better, safer plays on the slate. Fournier, I know he had a big game tonight, but he's very reliant in scoring. I don't want to pay almost 7K for him. Can we talk about... All right, I don't know what he finished with tonight, because I think Al-Farouq Aminu, it's not up, the box score isn't up. He went for like 40-plus fantasy points tonight. Almost a triple-double for Al-Farouq Aminu. Someone want to make some sense out of that for me? Now, with him having that big game, he's probably going to be chalk for this slate tomorrow. I think he's a fine value option, but if he's going to be like really popular, I'm fine looking elsewhere. We are not going to get close to triple-double again from Al-Farouq Aminu. The positives with Al-Farouq Aminu are he can stuff the stat sheet, right? He's the guy who can get rebounds, a couple assists, blocks and steals. But if he's going to be super, super popular, I'm fine looking elsewhere. Moving on to Cleveland and Chicago. On the Cleveland side, Jarrett Allen, Sexton for tournaments. I think are both, again, decent GBP plays. Jarrett Allen should play over 30 minutes in a close game. This is a good matchup, but I don't love the price. Colin Sexton, again, that was a blowout last game. That's why both of them kind of busted. He should play, 35-plus minutes in a close game. So both those guys are fine GBP plays. But there's not much else here I like. I will mention JaVale McGee just because he's a great point per minute guy. And in 2 games, he's got a little bit extended, 21 and 19 minutes, 30-plus fantasy points in both those games. So normally he's probably only going to play 12 to 14 minutes. But in games where he gets extended a bit, that's where he could crush his salary. So I'm always interested in McGee for tournaments. On the Chicago side, not much here. Stan Ramsey's really the guy that stands out for me at 4.6K. He should play around 30 minutes. A guy that, can stuff a stat sheet. I think he's a safe value play. And then Levine for tournaments at 8.5K should play, mid-30s minutes. Is their clear number one option. And then finally, the last guy is Thad Young because he probably plays around mid-20s minutes. A guy that can stuff a stat sheet, so I think a safer play. So those 3 guys, but Stan Ramsey is probably my favorite point per dollar play at that price. Let's move on to the last 5 games here. So Memphis and Oklahoma City. The top 2 guys here, Jonas Valanciunas and John Morant, I think both look good. JV more for tournaments because of the, he's not going to play big minutes. But again, great point per minute guy. He should be able to feast against his front court, so like him for GBPs. I think you could go to Ja in both formats because of the minutes, right? 35 here, 41 last game, so 36 in regulation. Again, good matchup here, so I'm fine with Ja in both formats. JV more for tournaments. Mid-range guys, I know Slow-Mo had the big game last game. I'm not chasing that. Value, Grayson Allen is at 4K. He'll play around 30 minutes. I think he's decent because of just, minutes alone, right? Moving on to OKC. So SGA at the top, I think looks pretty good. He's a guy that's going to play mid-30s minutes, can stuff the stat sheet. And again, it's a clear number 1 option. I do kind of like this matchup. So SGA I do like there at the top. With Horford in, kind of takes Moses Brown, Isaiah Roby out of play for me. I'm not super interested in Al Horford himself. And the rest of the secondary plays for OKC, I don't think I'm going to anyone else. Moving on to Dallas and Minnesota. So Luka Doncic at the top, I think, is one of the better spend-ups of the slate. Great matchup. As long as his game stays competitive, he'll play 35-plus minutes. So do like Luka a lot. The one concern is possibility of a blowout. Porzingis for GPPs, I'm fine with. Again, Luka is way, way safer. Value, no thank you, with everyone basically healthy. Moving on to Minnesota. So Cat for tournaments, I think, is a decent play if you want to pair him with Luka and go with a little mini stack. I don't think I get to him in GPPs. I don't think I get to him in cash game setting, but the positives right now with Karl-Anthony Towns, he's playing big minutes. 35, 36, 36, 38 minutes. So, I do kind of like Cat there for tournaments. Anthony Edwards, still tilted about that. The one time I finally buy in, doesn't only shoot 16 times, does none of the peripherals, and only plays 32 minutes. So frustrating. That means he's going to have the big game tomorrow night. I already know it. Now, Ricky Rubio at 6'4", I actually think is viable. The reason, minutes. 33, 34. Last couple games, he's a guy that can stuff the stat sheet. If he's going to play, close to 35 minutes, then yeah, I do actually have some interest in him in the mid-range. Value, I just don't want to deal with this headache. I just don't want to deal with it. So let's move on to the Clippers and the Spurs. So I want to mention this, all right? We talked about that Clippers game, last game. Let's talk about Luke Kennard and Terrence Mann. Luke Kennard has not been in the rotation. Comes in and plays 18 minutes, shoots 8 of 8, and goes for 40 fantasy points in 18 minutes. Terrence Mann off the bench, a guy that's been barely playing. Plays 29 minutes, goes for 40 fantasy points. I'm looking at it, I'm like, what is actually happening? Like, what happened? I have no idea what happened there. Now, I do think that Luke Kennard, since he played so well, will be in this rotation. Now, how many minutes does he play is a little bit more up in the air. So, yeah, I think Luke Kennard's viable, but I'm not, I don't know exactly how many minutes he's going to play. I do think he will play, but again, minutes, I don't know, 15, 20-ish. And then Terrence Mann, I know he had a big game last game. If these guys are going to be really popular, kind of like Al-Farouq Aminu, I'm fine looking elsewhere. But yeah, both of them, again, had big games last game, and I think they kind of earned a spot in the rotation for the Clippers. I'm just not sure how many minutes they actually play. Now, back up to the guys at the top. So Kawhi and Paul George. Paul George had the bust game last game. Again, shot 3 of 12, but the upside is there at 8-2. I think you can go to him in tournaments. Kawhi probably was a little bit safer. Revenge game narrative. He should play mid-30s minutes. So the top two guys look decent. Kawhi a lot safer. Zubac was on pace for a massive game last game. If you played him last game, you got really unlucky because he didn't come back in the fourth quarter. That was super, super tilting. If he's only going to play like mid-20s minutes, then he's more of just like a secondary play. If he's going to play 35 minutes, I really like him. But yeah, I'm not sure, right? Not a good sign that he did not close that last game. Then Marcus Morris at 5K also lost some minutes, only played 27. I think it's more just a secondary play at his price. Moving on to the Spurs, I just really hate this team. I just really don't like this team. DeRozan's fine to get different. Keldon and Derek White for tournaments. I know Lonnie Walker's out. I know maybe Rudy Gay's out. So like Patty Mills, Vassell, fine value plays. But Popovich will do something really weird and throw like Trey Jones in the starting lineup or Lucas. He'll just do Popovich things. So yeah, keep an eye on the starters, but yeah, I guess Mills and Vassell are okay value plays if we already know Lonnie's out, if in fact Rudy Gay is out too. All right, moving on to Brooklyn and Utah. So I'm curious to see how the rotation plays out tonight. But again, we know Kyrie and Durant are out. So Harden, assuming he plays, is one of the best spin-ups. Even though it's against Utah, just a very, very safe play at the top. Love me some Harden. And then value-wise, like Nick Claxton's a safe play as long as he plays mid-20s minutes like he has been playing. And then Bruce Brown, Tyler Johnson. Bruce Brown started. He should play, again, I'm curious to see how many minutes he finishes with, but I would guess at least mid-20s. Tyler Johnson off the bench probably plays around 20-ish minutes. TLC actually got in the rotation, and he had a hot start. So, like, there's a lot of viable value guys here for Brooklyn. I want to see how many minutes Blake Griffin plays. Not really interested in DeAndre Jordan. And then, yeah, Jeff Green, if he plays like over 30 minutes, is a fine value too. So, really, it's Harden plus the value. And we'll talk about this more in the live stream because I want to see how the minutes are just distributed tonight to get a better idea of how we're going to, get minutes for this slate tomorrow. Moving on to Utah. So, love the match here. I think the top three guys, Mitchell, Gobert, Conley, are all in play. I just don't know if any are priorities. Like Mitchell definitely can have a big game. He's gone for 60, 50, and 50 fantasy points the last 3 games. But it feels a little pricey, but hey, he continues to get it done. So I'm actually fine if you want to go Mitchell as a contrarian spend up. Rudy Gobert had 9 blocks last game. We're not going to get that again. He is, again, a fine play at his price, and Conley is a safer play, but doesn't really have a ton of upside. Not much else I like on the Utah side. Final game here, Atlanta and Sacramento. And we save the best for last, guys. Love this game in both formats. I think at tournaments especially, love stacking this up. Trae Young, 8-7. Fantastic matchup. Should play mid-30s minutes in a close game. I love Trae for tournaments. Could you go there in cash games? I think he's fringe cash game playable because of the price, but we know he's still got a somewhat low floor. Collins Capella, also good tournament plays. Might lean Capella. He played 29 minutes the last game. Great point per minute guy. Should be able to feast against his front court. So, both big guys are viable. Might lean Capella there. Gallinari is currently questionable. He's a guy who probably plays mid-20s minutes if he plays. Don't have a ton of interest in him if he plays. If he misses, then I think Bogdan Bogdanovic, revenge game narrative, might play more, maybe mid to high 20s minutes, and then I would have more interest in him for value. So keep an eye on that. A Hunter on minutes limit, Herter, probably not. So that's about it for the Hawks. Let's try to finish up with the Kings. So the Kings are running such a tight rotation. I love it. And again, great matchup. So Fox, Holmes, Hield, Barnes, Halliburton should all play 35-plus minutes if they stay out of foul trouble. De'Aaron Fox last game, 38 minutes. Rashawn Holmes, 35 minutes. Buddy Hield, 38 minutes. Harrison Barnes, 41 minutes. Tyrese Halliburton, finally off the minutes limit, 36 minutes. So I like all 5 of the Sacramento guys. I think my favorite being Fox, Holmes, and Halliburton. But honestly, you can get to any of these guys. They're all going to play massive minutes as long as this game stays close. Great matchup. Again, this really sets up for a nice game stack if you want to do that for tournaments. But yeah, I really like De'Aaron Fox at the top. Again, I should play close to 40 minutes. Holmes has been a little bit more up and down, so not really a cash game play, but the upside is there, right? We've seen it in 3 of the last 5 games, 57, 53, and 48 fantasy points. The issue is, again, he does have a somewhat low floor, and he's prone to foul trouble, so those are the concerns with Rashawn Holmes. Buddy Hield, Barnes, I think are fine options too, right? Just because the minutes on Halliburton, I think is a little bit too cheap. If he's going to play mid-30s minutes, 5-7 does seem a little bit underpriced. Off the bench, like Whiteside, Kojo, and Bjelica will play a bit, but I really don't have interest in any of those guys. So that's going to do it for the team-by-team breakdown, guys. I think it's going to do it for the video as well. So if you haven't enjoyed the content so far, I would really appreciate it if you leave a like button on the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hit the notification bell so you don't upload videos on the live. Thanks again, guys. Have a great night, and I'll see you all tomorrow in the